happening? It's Chris from Redbeard Videos back with you with another album review, and today I got a very special one that I'm very excited about. It's a brand new release by the Deftones entitled Ohms, but before we get to that, I want to go over a few things. First things first. There's a few ways that you can get in touch or get involved with this channel. You can obviously like this video down below. You can subscribe also down below, but a little to the side there. You can comment even more down below and let me know what you think of my review, what you think of the album yourself. If you agree with me or disagree with me, or you can write your own review if you want, that's fine. And I'll even comment on it in my next video. Or if you have so much of a dispute with me, maybe I'll do an answer video. Who knows? This is a new channel. I'll do whatever I want, and I'll do whatever you want me to do. So that's how this is gonna go. It's a back and forth. Like any good relationship, it's a back and forth. Now, the reason why I got into reviews in the first place, because originally I wasn't going to, but a few things came up that made me want to do it. And one of them was the absolute slamming of this album. It's funny to me that all through Facebook and Twitter, when this album was released, the initial response was, yay, new Deftones, and everybody loved it, and all the fans loved it. But somehow, I would say a large percentage of the online reviewers, either it be typed or video reviewers, kind of trashed this album or hemmed and hawed about it like it was just another thing. So I wanted to produce my own review to see where I fell on that, because I gotta tell you, I have somewhat of a different opinion than these people. So let's get to that, okay? Now, we can all agree that the year 2020 has been the equivalent of a flaming dumpster fire full of kittens. But I can honestly say that outside of the fact that the world is on fire and we have raging pandemic all over the world, and I am desperately missing my concerts and my festivals, and my addictions have not been fed. But one of my addictions that has been fed is my music addiction. There have been lots of great albums that have come out this year. A lot of great artists are stuck at home, not touring, and at least we're getting something out of that. So one of the absolute best things that I have personally heard in 2020 is the Deftones' newest release, Ohms. Now, this is their first release since 2016's Gore, which, despite some critical and commercial success, I really didn't like it that much. It was a very uneven album. In reality, I haven't been much of a fan of the Deftones since 2010's Diamond Eyes, which is widely regarded as one of their very best albums of their career and of the 2010s as a whole. Now, with that being said, I haven't necessarily hated any of the last two albums either. They just didn't, do it for me in the way that I had been accustomed to when Chino and the boys get together and throw out an album. Now, I was not totally amped as everybody else was upon hearing the announcement of a brand new Deftones album in 2020. I was excited at the prospect of seeing them live again because they're a tremendous live band. And every time I see them, they fucking kill. Like, they're absolutely killer. But I wasn't expecting the best. Well, for this review, we're gonna have to start at the end of the album, because my complete level of excitement for this album changed when they released the first single, which was the title track, Ohms, and it's the last song on the album. We promised to meet again somewhere. If you're short on time, or you just want a general idea of what this album is going to sound like, this tune right here is the perfect place to start. Now, I generally would always recommend when listening to an album to start and listen to it from front to back, especially the first time out. But some of us do not have that luxury. Jobs, kids, girlfriends, wives, what have you, ping pong tournaments, whatever it is. Ohms, the song, starts with a light kind of riff, an offbeat rhythmic play before settling into a nice medium-paced groove. Chino really shines on this tune, and this is something that I heard a lot of negativity about, was Chino Moreno's vocals throughout this album. I completely disagree. You'll find with my review that it's a theme throughout, that Chino really shined on this album in my opinion. The real shining moment on this song comes through from the finishing riff by Stephen Carpenter though, and this song is simultaneously a great closer and kind of a perfect introduction to the album, so... Now, continuing on my journey, the second single from Ohms is actually the first track from the record, Genesis. Now, I love this tune as a single, and it serves as a solid stage setter here on the album. Slow, ominous start with an eerie 80s-esque background keyboard sound into a heavy, punchy riff, and Chino just kicking the damn door down. Love the contrast between the aggressive screams in the verses and the dissonant harmonies in the choruses and pre-choruses. Now, moving into the next song, Ceremony, this is a more melodic, straightforward song with a nice atmospheric middle section. I will say that as a singer myself, it's striking to hear a regular use of dissonance from such a straightforward song, but it works really well here. Urantia picks up the pace a bit with a banger of a metal riff to open the song, but then almost immediately settles into this generally chill and melodic tune. I love the melodies throughout, especially in the choruses, and I really love how the last chorus leads back into the heavy riff from the start. I have to say that I absolutely love the production in general on this album. And this was another knock that I heard from other reviewers, either written or online, is that the production quality was off, or they didn't like the keyboard sound, they didn't like the 80s sounding keyboards, or they didn't understand the point of it. I have to disagree. I kind of think it gives somewhat of a raw feel to it, and I really, really enjoy that, especially from a band like the Deftones, where they are rawly emotional, lyrically and musically, and it plays really well here in my opinion. Now, the changing guitar sounds throughout, the keys, Chino's vocals, and the punchy drums, all of that, that's all on display on the fourth track, Error.
Tell me something.
Dissonant, noisy guitar tones into a djenty groove, like a straight up djenty, like Meshuggah-esque groove. Not tight as a Meshuggah groove, but still very djenty. Somewhat of a typical performance from Chino on this one, typical meaning the great type of typical, the Chino Moreno, the stuff that I really like. And I can honestly say that I think the major difference to me on this album is indeed the performance of Chino as a whole. It was rumored that the reason Gore was such an uneven album throughout was because vocalist Chino Moreno and guitarist Stephen Carpenter were at odds throughout the making of that record. And it honestly shows here on this album and on this song. It really feels like the band is together, like there's a cohesion. I think the first three songs were kind of disjointed in sound, very dissonant, very raw, and a cross between rawness and sharpness. I think it really comes together on this song nicely. And then it really makes more sense when Error goes right into the fifth track, The Spell of Mathematics. The atmosphere that's created at the end of Error is continued and expanded upon. Haunting harmonies accent Chino's angst in the choruses, and with a djenty guitar sound, again, fuzzy bass, and a hint of those keys, those 80s keys. It's a purposely dated sound. I can't imagine that they couldn't find a better keyboard sound. Like, not that it's bad, but I can't imagine that they didn't do that on purpose, right? But they had a hint of those keys again, and it creates a very emotional feel for this one. And there's snaps through the ending. Snaps like this. I had to mention the snaps. I had to mention them because when a band like the Deftones goes from a djenty riff into this atmospheric like spookiness with these 80s keyboards, and then you gotta mention it. The sixth track, Pompeii, I think it's Pompeii, there's a J in there. I've never seen it spelled with a J before, but I'm just going to go with that instead of embarrassing myself for the third video in a row with mispronouncing something. This song has a really great, somber, and almost reflective open before kicking you in the damn face again. Like right there. The song has a strong push and pull element to it. 1 minute it sounds like you're reminiscing about a time on a beach where things were peaceful, and then not so much.
Jesus Christ, you, wow.
Blink is Dead is possibly Chino's most aggressive song, but other than that, it's just an extension of Pompeii, the song before. It's got a very similar feel to it and a very similar kind of chord progression and whatnot, but Chino just rips his throat out on this one. It's pretty tremendous.
There's something inside this.
The next song, arguably one of my favorite Deftones songs ever. Once I heard Radiant City, like by the time I got to this point, this album kicked into yet another gear. So with the 4th track, Error, it felt like that they were together, that there was a cohesion, and it kind of carried through for the next 3 songs. This song, and for the last 3 songs, it's kind of like a whole different gear. The heavy bass riff to start into the harmony-laden verses, aggressive pre-choruses, and then a total tonal shift that I just didn't see coming. And that's very rare, because like I'm a prog rock, prog metal, avant-garde art rock guy. To surprise me, that's telling me something. The chorus of this song really makes the song, and honestly is the pinnacle, like the top point of this album for me. Not that the rest of the album is downhill from here, but it's definitely settles into kind of a coda, like a killer credit scene, almost like at the end of a Marvel movie. You're sticking around and you're watching the credits because you know there's something coming at the end, and it's not the best part of the movie, but it's definitely the thing you're going to talk about when you walk out. So now, as I said, with Radiant City, it was the paramount of the energy. Well, the next track definitely serves as a great conduit into the final track. Headless is a killer slow jam reminiscent of White Pony era Deftones, in my opinion. It's the perfect song to fit between Radiant City and Ohms, almost like a palate cleanser. You know, if you're switching between 2 extreme tastes, you need to throw that lemon in your mouth or whatever they do. I'm not sophisticated at all, so I'm not going to pretend like I know. But I see it on TV all the time. Then there's the closing track, Ohms. And I spoke about that at the start of this review, and there you have it. Deftones. Ohms. It's a great album. It's just a solid album, and I don't understand the hate for it. I kind of get the feeling that there's a lot of contrarians out there that just like to say things just because they think it's going to get them clicks or they think it's going to get them views, and that's okay. I understand there's a game to it. It's the name of the game. I totally understand. I'm not that guy. I have no problem, though, listening to what these people have to say and taking what they say and applying it to what I have to say in a comparison situation. I'm not going to call them out by name because everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I respect their opinions. Some of these guys I really respect. I have no problem with what they like and what they dislike. I just didn't see it that way. So, if I'm going to give it a scale, let's rate things in beards. Okay, this is my first true album review, so we're going to rate it in beards. So, out of 5 beards, I give this one 3.5. 3.5 beards, okay? And that's it. That's the end of my review. What did you think? You can let me know down below by typing it up. Remember, I like to look at the keyboards, look at the keys. Type it up. Comments down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you liked what I had to say, if you disliked what I had to say, or if you have a different take on it. What is your favorite song from Ohms? And like the video, subscribe to the page. Dislike the video if you really disagree with me, that's fine too. And you can hit me up on my socials, at VideosBeard on Twitter, or simply Redbeard Videos on Facebook. I'm Chris from Redbeard Videos. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.